it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball.
You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. That is an irresponsible thing to do. You are a coach for a female basketball team.
I would encourage anybody to go see Cheryl Reeve's comments. By the way, Sophie did not look like she backed down from Cheryl Reeve.
The WNBA is currently standing on the brink of an unprecedented crisis, and the entire basketball universe is watching in absolute disbelief as rumors, outrage, and explosive locker room tensions threaten to tear the league apart from the inside out. What started as a quiet disagreement in the media has now escalated into a full-blown civil war across women's sports, with fan protests forming outside arenas, head coaches making bold political statements on the sidelines, and media personalities locked in heated online warfare. At the absolute epicenter of this growing storm is an alleged ultimatum that has sent shockwaves through executive offices in New York. The claim that if Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham is forced out or pushed to the margins of the league over her controversial statements, superstar Caitlin Clark will walk away right alongside her. Whether this represents an absolute breaking point for the league's golden star or the ultimate test of teammate loyalty, one thing is undeniably clear. The WNBA has never faced a moment as volatile, unpredictable, and dangerous to its financial and cultural future as the one unfolding right now before our eyes.
It's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so we need to find an area to improve in that way.
To understand how the WNBA reached this boiling point, you have to look back at the spark that set off the entire media firestorm. During a recent high-profile ESPN profile and subsequent press interviews, Sophie Cunningham voiced strong, unvarnished opinions regarding biological females competing in women's sports and locker room privacy, arguing that her stance came from a desire to protect young female athletes rather than malice toward anyone. Almost overnight, those remarks exploded into a national lightning rod for controversy.
I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs, I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Arena crowds were instantly divided, with passionate fan rallies congregating outside arenas before game nights, some holding signs in fierce support of Cunningham's right to speak her mind, while others gathered to protest her remarks and demand official league action. As the Indiana Fever traveled from city to city, the noise inside host arenas grew deafening, turning standard regular season games into high-stakes cultural battlegrounds, where every single possession, whistle, and sideline interaction was magnified under a microscopic lens. The tension reached a dramatic fever pitch when the Indiana Fever traveled to take on the Minnesota Lynx at the Target Center, an environment already buzzing with intense anticipation. Minnesota head coach Cheryl Reeve made her own unmistakable statement before the opening tip, by wearing a blazer over a prominent shirt reading "Trans Kids Belong," sending a direct visual message that instantly captured the attention of national broadcasts and social media platforms alike.
Trans kids belong. They had a conversation together. They walked up to each other. They had the talk. And by the way, just so you know, we did not know this. I Googled to see which side Cheryl Reeve is on. She's actually lesbian. Nothing wrong with that.
Cheryl Reeve and ESPN praising Cheryl Reeve as she was wearing a shirt saying, "Trans kids belong."
Yet what happened next on the hardwood sent internet speculation into overdrive. Cameras caught Coach Reeve and Sophie Cunningham engaged in an extended, intense face-to-face conversation right on the court before the game began.
Before the game, you had a conversation with Sophie Cunningham.
I did.
If you want to share what you talked about, feel free. But
Absolutely not.
While broadcast commentators like Ryan Ruocco and Rebecca Lobo analyzed the visual body language live on air, social media sleuths tried to read lips, convincing themselves that an explosive confrontation was taking place in real time, though both Reeve and Cunningham later clarified in post-game press conferences that their exchange was actually a respectful educational discussion aimed at finding common ground, despite stark differences. The viral video clip had already taken on a life of its own, fueling a wave of outrageous headlines claiming the league was splitting at the seams. As the video went viral, the national sports media apparatus pounced on the storyline, with heavyweights like Stephen A. Smith diving headfirst into the fray and turning a basketball conflict into a multi-platform shouting match.
How important is it to have those like in-person conversations with people that
I think it's
have
great.
different views?
I think it's great. I think both of us understand that we have platforms, and we both talked about wanting to, more than anything, educate. And there are some things that we have in common, and maybe some things you differ on, just like any issues. And I think it's how you handle things.
On network TV and personal podcasts, sports commentators fiercely debated whether players should be disciplined for expressing personal views or whether silencing athletes would permanently damage the league's reputation for authenticity and athlete empowerment. Stephen A. Smith did not hold back, questioning how the WNBA's leadership could manage such deeply opposing viewpoints without alienating core fan bases or jeopardizing player safety.
You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. That is an irresponsible thing to do. You are a coach for a female basketball team. Do you not think that the females are being screwed over if they have to compete against an individual born as a male? What are you talking about?
Online commentators chimed in from every conceivable angle, with critics calling for severe league sanctions against Cunningham, while conservative sports influencers rallied to her defense, portraying her as a brave voice speaking up for women's athletics.
It is one thing to inject politics into your sport where they don't belong, like Colin Kaepernick kneeling in the middle of professional football games.
This relentless 24-hour news cycle created an incredible pressure cooker for the Indiana Fever, an organization already navigating the most intense media scrutiny in women's basketball history, thanks to the presence of their rookie phenom. Sitting right in the eye of this hurricane is Caitlin Clark, the face of modern women's basketball, whose every word and gesture carries immense economic and cultural weight. When pressed by reporters following Indiana's hard-fought road loss to Minnesota, Clark delivered a characteristically disciplined, laser-focused response, stating firmly that political debates were not what her team discussed in the locker room, and that regulatory policies should be left to leagues and governing bodies while her team focused strictly on winning basketball games.
It's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so we need to find an area to improve in that way.
But behind that carefully worded public composure, massive speculation began circulating through insider circles and fan forums regarding what was really happening behind closed doors. Reports and viral rumors began making the rounds that Clark was privately furious, with the relentless media hostility directed at her teammate, and had subtly let it be known that if the league or outside forces tried to scapegoat or force Cunningham out, she would stand by her side, even if that meant making the ultimate stand against league management. In a sports ecosystem where top superstars hold massive leverage over league ratings and broadcast deals, the mere whisper of a Caitlin Clark ultimatum was enough to send shockwaves through corporate boardrooms. To understand why fans and analysts find the idea of Clark backing Cunningham so believable, you only have to look back at the established history of loyalty and fierce mutual defense between these two players. Ever since Sophie Cunningham joined the Indiana Fever, she has naturally stepped into the role of the team's ultimate enforcer and protector on the floor, repeatedly putting her body on the line whenever opposing teams tried to play overly physical or intimidate Clark. Whenever an opponent delivered a hard foul or tried to get into Clark's face during intense games, Cunningham was consistently the very first player to step in, deliver a retaliatory screen, and make sure her superstar guard felt completely safe on the court. Off the court, their genuine bond only grew stronger, with the two sharing hilarious banter on social media, vacationing together, and even serving as caddying partners for Clark at high-profile off-season golf events like the Annika LPGA Pro-Am. That rare combination of on-court grit and off-court friendship created an unbreakable sisterhood, proving to everyone in the organization that when one of them is under attack, the other will step up without a moment's hesitation. This deep-seated bond presents a massive dilemma for the WNBA's executive leadership, who now find themselves trapped between institutional pressure and the undeniable economic power of their marquee star. On one hand, progressive advocacy groups and certain team executives are pushing for strict league guidelines regarding public discourse and social commentary. On the other hand, the WNBA is currently experiencing an unprecedented golden era of viewership, ticket sales, and multi-million-dollar TV rights deals, a boom driven almost entirely by Caitlin Clark's generation-defining popularity. If league executives were to take punitive action against Cunningham, or allow public pressure to make her position on the team untenable, they risk alienating Clark and creating a toxic environment where the sport's biggest asset feels unsupported by her own league. This power dynamic has left WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and team owners walking a razor-thin tightrope. Fully aware that mishandling this situation could trigger a public relations catastrophe that threatens the long-term stability of the entire organization. Beyond the immediate political and cultural noise, the financial stakes involved in this drama are staggering for the future of professional basketball. The WNBA is preparing to enter a pivotal transition period with upcoming collective bargaining agreement negotiations and the launch of new competing women's leagues like Project B, offering massive salaries to top talent. In fact, Cunningham recently revealed on her podcast that she had tried to recruit Clark to join a rival Winter League startup, and while Clark turned down the offer to focus on her WNBA off-season recovery, the mere existence of alternative platforms gives elite players unprecedented leverage. If players feel that the WNBA is becoming an overly restrictive or politically volatile work environment, where personal beliefs result in career sabotage, top stars could easily leverage these new commercial opportunities elsewhere. The threat of losing star power or fracturing team locker rooms during a record-breaking season exposes just how fragile a league's growth can be when off-court controversies outshine on-court achievements. Despite the outside noise, the Indiana Fever locker room remains a fascinating study in resilience and professionalism as they battle for playoff positioning in a fiercely competitive Eastern Conference. While outside commentators depict a franchise in utter chaos, sources close to the team emphasize that the players remain united by a shared competitive drive to win basketball games and build a championship culture. The Fever front office officially reinforced this stance by issuing a statement clarifying that players are independent adults entitled to their own personal viewpoints, ensuring that individual political stances do not destroy team unity or distract from their ultimate goal on the court. The ability of Clark, Cunningham, and their teammates to filter out millions of viral social media impressions, media interrogations, and hostile road crowds speaks volumes about their mental toughness as professional athletes operating in the modern digital spotlight. As the WNBA season moves toward its thrilling climax, the resolution of this crisis will likely set a huge precedent for how professional sports leagues handle freedom of speech, player loyalty, and superstar influence in the modern media age. The viral rumors of an ultimatum may serve as a sensationalized dramatization of real-world tensions, but they capture an undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark's arrival has fundamentally transformed the WNBA, granting top players unprecedented power to challenge established norms and defend their teammates against outside pressure. Whether Coach Cheryl Reeve, Stephen A. Smith, or league executives like it or not, the era where the league could quietly manage player narratives behind closed doors is officially over. As long as Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham continue to stand shoulder to shoulder on the floor, the Indiana Fever will remain the most compelling, controversial, and unmissable story in global sports, proving that true loyalty on and off the court is the ultimate force that no media storm can break.